Hello, my name is Shaneida Monique and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I do videos geared towards giving you helpful tips on how to navigate through life and relationships. And today's video is going to be how to co-parent with a narcissist or toxic person. Again, if you're not subscribed, I suggest that you subscribe to my channel. If you find that my video is helpful, then give it a thumbs up. Okay, so let's get started into the video. The main reason why I decided to do this video is because I have experienced co-parenting with a person, and it was very successful. And I've also experienced co-parenting with a person who is fairly toxic and narcissistic. And so I want to give you the tips and tools that have helped me establish a really good co-parenting relationship, and also hopefully it would help you or whoever's going through this situation. And I just want to I just want to be of service and give you things that will be helpful towards you and your journey in life. Anything that can make your journey easier, I'm all for it, because you know, at the end of the day, I wish I had it. I wish somebody would make my life journey just a little bit more easier. But so yeah. All right, so listen, when it comes to co-parenting with a narcissistic person, the main thing that I want you to focus on is emotional maturity within yourself, not necessarily within the toxic or narcissistic person, but emotional maturity within yourself. So I need you in this process to recognize when you're being triggered, meaning like when you're feeling that you're getting upset, when you feel like you're getting emotional, and I need you to be able to check that emotion so that you're able to make logical decisions and have logical reactions to whenever you're dealing with this narcissistic person or this toxic person. That is going to be the number one key that is going to help you on your journey when it comes to dealing with any toxic person, is being able to check the emotions, realize that it's there, and react accordingly. Another key that I'm going to give you is to remember that when you're dealing with a narcissistic person, they don't really care about the child. Now, I know that's going to sound crazy, and you're thinking to yourself, how can somebody actually not care about their child? But listen, it's not that they don't care about their child. It's just that they care more about themselves than their actual child. They care more about pleasing themselves and doing what they want to do rather than actually doing what's best for the child. Okay, we all know that as parents, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're a parent, at some point in time, we have to sacrifice. We have to sacrifice for our children. Either that's sacrificing time, money, things that we want to do, we can't do because, you know, we have responsibilities. And it's understandable, especially when it comes to parenting. It's a part of it, right? But when it comes to a narcissistic person, they really don't have it in them that they need to sacrifice for the betterment of their child. That's not what they're thinking about. If anything, they're like, what? I have to give up what? No, no. Find another way. Find another way. I have to give up partying. Oh, no. Find another way. I got to give up money that I don't want to. No trips. No, find another way. Find another way. Do what you got to do. And that's their attitude. So you need to keep in mind too, when you're dealing with this narcissistic person, is that don't expect them to be the responsible parent at all. Don't expect them to be the parent that is now taking accountability, because it's not going to happen at all. Like, and if you have this idea that they're going to turn into this amazing parent, like, you're just setting yourself up for further heartbreak in the future. And like, you have to keep in mind too that that whole them love bombing you in the beginning and saying how they wanted this family, saying how they wanted to have kids, and this whole fantasy that they portrayed or whatever, like reality is not a fantasy. And once the reality sets in for them, they're out of there. And you know what? This reminds me so much of, unfortunately, it reminds me of like the Safari and Erica Mena thing going on now. Like, whereas, I feel super, super bad for Erica. You know what I'm saying? First of all, she's from New York. She's from the Bronx. I'm from Brooklyn now. But, well, Safari's from New York too. But I feel super bad for her because, in her mind, I think that this girl, she wears her heart on her sleeves, and when she gets involved with anybody, she she's full submerged in it. And if you get with a person and you believe all the stories they tell you, you believe the fantasies, it's easy for you to believe, okay, this person is going to change, this person is going to be an amazing father, this person is going to be an amazing mother. And that's not the case. That was just a fantasy that they believed at the moment, and they got you to believe. And the reality does not match up with the fantasy. And you always have to remember that they just care more about the appearance of being a good parent rather than actually being a good parent. It's the appearance of looking like a good mother or a good father. That's what they're after. They can care less about the daily tasks and what it actually takes to raise some kids and have that. Not interested. Okay? All they want is the glitz and glam. They're going to show up for graduation. They're going to show up for the birthday if the birthday parties is lit. They're going to show up for Christmas maybe so that they'll post it to Instagram. It depends. Homework, giving the baby a bath. Why? Why would they do that? And then that's especially for a woman that's involved with a narcissistic man. Like, he's not helping, honey, at all. Now, it's different from a man with a narcissistic woman, because this narcissistic woman, she's going to help here and there or whatever. Like, after a while, you're going to see that she wants to party a little bit more. After a while, you're going to see that she wants to hang out a little bit more. She might convince you into getting her a nanny or babysitters or whatever the case is, or drop the kids off wherever. And as a man, you slowly will come to realize that this woman is not really spending that much time with your kids. She's not really focused on being a good mom to your kids. Like, she's more focused on the appearance of looking like a good mother. Like, oh yeah, my kids are in this school and they do this and they do that, and that's all she cares about. She doesn't really care that how well her children are actually doing, unless it's for her to gain kudos from, outside people, family members, friends, even other people with kids. She's, low key competition. So when it comes to a narcissistic parent, right? And now at this point, I'm talking to my ladies, dealing with narcissistic men. When it comes to a narcissistic man, he is going to use you as supply if he has a child with you, meaning that when the child is, let's say, pregnancy up until about 6 years old, he's still getting narcissistic supply from you, meaning that he uses the child as leverage or an excuse to gain emotional leverage over you. Like, you got a newborn and he does what he wants to do. It doesn't, you're cursing, you're crying, you're saying, oh, I need help. Okay, all right, I'll give you a little help over here. Make sure somebody watches me or sees me giving you a little help. And then I do my own thing. And by you getting upset, by you actually showing your emotions, which is so sad about it, is that you're giving him narcissistic supply. And you have to keep in mind that a narcissist lives off of supply. Supply meaning emotional reactions, meaning that you are going in on them. That is supply. Whether it is a happy supply, whereas you're all giddy and excited and they're getting sex from you, or it's a negative supply, meaning that you are cursing them out, you are crying, it doesn't matter. You know, like they say, good publicity and bad publicity, it's all publicity. That's how the narcissist sees it. So there is no difference between positive reinforcements or negative. The supply is the same. Now, if you have a child with them, what they'll do is, like I said before, they'll use the child as leverage from 0 to 6 years old. After 6 years old, that's probably when they're going to actually start gaining supply from the child, which I'm going to talk about a little later in the video. I'll come back to that. Okay, but I want to also switch it over to the men so that they know that if you're a man and you're dealing with a narcissistic woman, she's probably going to use the child as leverage too. And this could start even early as her being pregnant and, you know, and sending you off on wild goose chases for the cravings that she has, and just being overly dramatic about every issue with the pregnancy and gaining supply by you being so empathetic towards her. So, and then, you know, from 0 to 6 years old, but this is going to look different. For women, for a narcissistic woman, she's probably going to gain narcissistic supply from the children a little later on in life. She's not really that concerned with gaining the supply from the children as long as the father is still giving her adequate supply. As long as she's still getting adequate supply from anybody around her, she's not really going to look to the kids for supply until they're a little bit older. I would say probably preteen. If she has a daughter, this will start as soon as the daughter starts to kind of develop a little bit, whereas then she can gain a little supply off of her daughter. So roughly around 5 or 6 years old is when a narcissistic person might shift from getting supply from you and switch to now trying to get the supply from the child. The child has to be able to talk. The child has to be able to communicate some sort of emotions. Now, if you're a woman and you're dealing with a narcissistic man, what this looks like is that if you were starving him from supply from, let's say, the child was, you know, 0 to 6 years old or whatever, at some point in time, your child is going to be able to, you know, say that they want their father, or they want to see their father, or they're like, okay, well, you know, where is he, or whatever the case is. And at this point, if the narcissistic man is around and he has, you know, developed some type of relationship with the child, then what he'll do is he'll start to gain supply from the child by actually not showing up. He'll drop the ball. He'll say he's coming to get them. He won't show up. He gives them a whole bunch of promises and tells them, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And he doesn't do any of it. And what this actually ends up doing to the child is, one, it crushes your child's self-esteem. It instills in them, like, they have this and they start to develop this anxiety, especially from, you know, expecting somebody to come and constantly being let down, constantly being disappointed. That's what your child has to deal with emotionally. Now, also, listen, we're going to get into all of how to combat the emotional abuse that the narcissist will do with your child. So, you know, make sure you watch the video up until the end to get everything. Okay, because I don't mean to be all over the place, but I kind of just want to make some key points and take you into, you know, what the tactics are before I start giving you counter moves and how to, you know, how to win. So I want to say, if you are a man and you're dealing with a narcissistic woman, at this point in time, once your child reaches about 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, around there, you'll have a little bit more freedom when it comes to the decisions that you make with your child, simply because your child is able to say that they want to go be with you. Now, here's a nugget for everybody watching, right? When a child says that they want to go and be with the, let's say, the healthy parent or whatever, they want to, you have a narcissistic woman and the child says, oh, I want to go spend time with my dad. And you said, okay, well, come on, come with me. He wants to be with me or she wants to be with me, right? The narcissistic woman, she doesn't care. She does not care if you want to take that kid every day. She does not care if you want to take them for the year. She does not really care, because the more time you spend with that child, the more time her narcissistic behind has to go run the streets. Okay, which is really what she want to do. Remember that narcissistic people don't necessarily want to be parents, especially good ones. They don't care nothing about being a good parent. They care about looking like a good parent. So if you're willing to take on the burden of actually caring for the child, then you go right ahead. Now, here's the thing. This is where you get messed up at, is because you will tell a narcissistic person or a toxic person that you want full custody of that child. That is a no. Don't ever tell a narcissistic person or a toxic person that you want full custody of the child. Even if they don't want that kid, they will fight you tooth and nail for that child. It will be very difficult for you to prove that this person is emotionally unstable. It will be very, very difficult. So what I am suggesting to you, my advice to you when it comes to you wanting custody or joint custody of the child or whatever the case is, don't ever mention it. Even if you want full custody, even if that is your goal, don't ever mention or say a word. Don't talk about court. Don't even put it in the air as if that's the route that you're going. Eventually, what will happen is that as the child spends more time with you, and integrates into your world, your life, or whatever, you don't want to create competition for a narcissistic person, because they love that. They love a fight. You don't want to create that for them. What you want to do is you want to make the transition very, very smooth. You want to say, oh, well, if you want me to take them, I'll take them, no problem. You want to create an atmosphere that is calm for the narcissist, one where they're not really trying to gain supply from you. Okay, the moment that you introduce the court system to them, oh, forget it. They're going ham on you. All right, like, what's so funny is that, like, even going back to like the Erica Mena and Safari situation, like if this girl said out loud to that man, oh, I'm going to take you to court, I want full custody, even if he didn't want to see them kids at all, he would fight tooth and nail for either joint custody or have the custody of the kids, simply because she wants the smoke. Like, it looks like he now he got to fight, because that's one thing. People, well, not even people, but society puts it in the air that if you don't have joint or full custody of your kids, if you lose custody of your kids, you are a complete loser. Like, especially if you just give away custody. Like, it's such a stigma attached to that nobody is going to want to go through that, especially publicly. And anything that is known to more than you and that person is public. If other people know, it's public. Because then you're just making them look crazy. Like, oh, this girl is taking me to court. She's saying she wants full custody of my kids. I'm not giving her full custody of my kids. I love my kids. Man, that dude, he was not seeing them kids before. He didn't want nothing to do with them kids. You knew that. But because you're introducing the court, he feels like he got to put on a show now. He feels like he has to, make a big hoopla out of something he ain't even want. Because he feel like you tested him now. So now he's gonna fight you tooth and nail for custody of your kids. And this is especially true for men. But you know what? One thing that I've watched and I've seen that men do, especially men that have custody of their children, they don't really fight too much with the mother. They don't really fight too much with the mother. The mother's, saying she wants to chill, she wants to enjoy her life. She dropped off the kids, and they say, you know what? Just let the kids stay here. Just let the kid live here. It's okay. Go do you. I'll handle everything. I'll take care of everything. You know, you can come see the kid whenever you want, no problem. And you know what she does? She says, oh, okay, cool. No doubt. Yeah. And she's gone. Like, and it's perfect. It's perfect the way some men handle it, because she's gone and they have the kid and there's no court system involved, and they have, like, let's say they have the kid for now, it's been a year, 2 years, 3 years, the kid is registered, they have the address, whatever, and then at that point they go and say, okay, you know what, I want full custody. The kid is already living with you. She can't come back and say, oh, no, he living with, like, you have a whole different other address. This boy or this girl been here for 2 years. Like, that's the move, really. That's the move. But that's, you know, that's something that I see men do. Whereas women, when it comes to dealing with narcissistic men, you have to be a little bit more careful, because one, that fool ain't looking for no full custody of no kids. Because if he had full custody of the kids, you already know he would go crazy. Okay. Secondly, is the only way that a man will want full custody of the children is to actually spite you. And if you show that you care more about the children and everything, and it's gonna sound sad, but the more that you show that you are so emotionally invested in the children and this is upsetting you, the more he's gonna do it, the more he's gonna fight you. Like, so you have to learn, like I said before, you have to learn emotional maturity. You have to learn when you are triggered and how to react smarter, okay? Because when it comes to these toxic fools, we out here playing chess, baby. All right, so getting back to co-parenting with a toxic person, narcissistic person, another thing that they might do is, actually not even might, they probably gonna do it, is turn your child against you. Now, when it comes to them turning the child against you, the way that they do it is they form a competition between you and them. Meaning that, let's say I'm a toxic narcissist, so I might say to my child, like, oh, well, you know, your mom, she don't let you do this. Or, you know, your dad, he don't let you do this. But you know what? You can come do it here. You know that, I'll buy you whatever you want. You know your mom, she don't do all of that. You know your father, he does whatever he wants. You know your father, he really don't do anything that he's supposed to do. He doesn't buy y'all nothing. Christmas card, he don't get y'all nothing. Like, this is how they form a competition between the parents, is by telling the child, you know, negative things or whatever about the other parent. And listen, let me tell you something, okay? And this is for my healthy parents. My healthy parents that's co-parenting with a toxic person and a narcissistic person, right? You never, ever, ever want to talk negatively about the child's mother, father, whoever this toxic person is. Don't ever speak negatively to your child about that person. What you're going to do is, if they do something that is you know, bad, or they do something that's, because they're going to test you and they're going to do something crazy, you don't ever want to tell your child that. You don't want to fill them in, because what's going to happen is that you're giving them this information, and sometimes children are not emotionally mature yet to handle it. So, you know, sometimes you're going to look like the bad parent, and that's okay. But you never want to speak negatively about either the child's father or the child's mother. They do something, well, you know what? I'm here. Yeah, he didn't show up to the game. I don't know where he's at, but guess what? I'm here. Yeah, well, she said she was going to take you here, and she said she was going to do that, but you know what? I'm here. I'm going to do it with you, okay? No problem. We're not worried about that. You want to create some type of healthy boundary within your child. You want to create some type of healthy foundation within your child, so that they know that they can trust you, so that they know that you are the stable parent. You don't have to brag and talk about all the things that you're doing. You don't have to do that, because as this child gets older, when it comes to dealing with a toxic parent or narcissistic parent, whatever the case is, as the child gets older and matures, they will discover on their own how toxic their parents are. You know, it's like having a child, and maybe some of you can relate. You know, having a child that, let's say the daddy is not involved and the daddy is out in the streets or whatever the case is, right? And the child has this fantasy of what the daddy should be like, or how this person should be, or whatever the case is. And only when they become an adult or even teenager and actually meets that person and discovers for themselves how, in fact, like how toxic this person is when they realize, like, you know what, nah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, no. Like sometimes the fantasy of what we want a parent to be is stronger than the reality of it. So what you want to do with your child is you want to establish in your child that they are good with relying on you. They are good with trusting you. They are good with coming to you with, you know, emotional support and things of that nature. Okay, you just want to be as steady and as possible. You want to be your child's foundation in all things. All right, so the next thing would be your toxic narcissist would probably plant seeds of negativity in your child's mind in order to turn them against you, which is, you know, it could be lies or whatever the case is, right? And they have an idea of, okay, now they want to create like secrets between them or whatever's going on in their world and the child. So that means, like, let's say you are you're a man and you're dealing with a toxic narcissistic woman, and you have, you know, your son or your daughter goes over back to mom's house, and when they come back, you know, you see that they're off a little bit. They're acting funny with you. And you're like, oh, okay, what's up? Talk to daddy. And they say, oh, no, nothing's going on. Nothing. I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. And you're like, no, talk to daddy. Talk to daddy. And all of a sudden you hear something with, let's say, the girl's boyfriend did something or whatever the case is. Like, and your child is actually, you know, they don't want to talk about it. They have this idea of, okay, no, I can't tell daddy this because daddy's going to get upset, and then mommy and daddy's going to start arguing. Or you have or let's say if you are a parent, the mom or whatever, and the child has it in their mind, they say, okay, no, I can't tell mommy that me and daddy did this, or me and daddy went here, because mommy's going to get upset and she knows that we're not supposed to go over there. So daddy told me not to say nothing, to keep it a secret. So now I got to keep that secret. And here's the thing, is that you never ever want to instill in your child that secrets are okay. And unfortunately, when it comes to this toxic parent, you can't really control what they teach your child. You can't control what freaking characteristics or devaluing they're gonna set into that child. You can't do that. The only thing that you can do is counteract that with telling your child that secrets are not okay. Mommy's not gonna get upset that you went somewhere or whatever. All you have to do is be honest. All you have to do is tell me. Because what this narcissistic person doesn't realize is that when you train a child to keep secrets from their parents who they're supposed to be honest with and trust, that's when you open up your child to other things. You open up your child to be affected in other ways, to be mistreated by other adults, and that's not cool. All right, so you never want to have it in your child's mind that secrets are okay. You want to shatter that. Secrets are not okay. We don't keep no secrets. We deal with things. We deal with things healthy. All right, and you know, unfortunately, like when it comes to even co-parenting, like this is going to be something that you're going to constantly have to deal with. You're going to constantly have to reestablish with your child the boundaries, reestablish with your child what you will accept, what you won't accept, because every time they go over with their narcissistic parents, you don't really know what piece of your child is coming back, you know. And and then you might be upset. You might want to go off on your toxic partner or whatever, but you can't do that. You cannot. You cannot. And maybe I'll give another video with just going into detail with either males dealing with narcissistic women or females, or women dealing with narcissistic males, or whatever the case is. Maybe I'll give a detailed video or whatever. Or you know what, if you have questions or things of that nature that you want me to answer when it comes to co-parenting, just leave it in the comments below and then I'll answer it. Or if you don't feel comfortable leaving it in the comments, send me an email. I'll leave my email in the description box or whatever, and we could talk about it there. Okay, because you know the whole gist of this video is to give you helpful tips and advice, but it's so much information to absorb when it comes to actually co-parenting with a toxic person. There's so many avenues and things that you have to do in order to make sure that your child is safe and emotionally stable, you know. And yeah, listen, I'm speaking from experience. I get it. I understand completely. And yeah, it's a struggle, but you know what? It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be a struggle. Okay, when you learn the tips and tricks or whatever, believe me, honey, you don't gotta be a struggle anymore. Okay? All right, so let's get into setting boundaries when it comes to co-parenting. When it comes to you setting boundaries with your toxic baby daddy or baby mama or whatever the case is, right? The boundaries that you set is not actually for them to follow. The boundaries that you set is going to be for you. So if you decide that you want to do, you know, a boundary of, okay, you know, we made this agreement, you're going to give me this amount of money, and you're going to pick up the child every other weekend, every 2 weeks, whatever the case is, right? And you set up boundaries. Okay, listen, you're not going to be able to come to my house unannounced unless it's your days to pick up the child, whatever the case is, right? These are boundaries that you're setting for yourself, not necessarily boundaries for them to actually follow, because narcissistic people do not respect boundaries and they don't care about them. So this is for your sanity, really, honey. So when it comes to you setting boundaries and you say, okay, listen, this is going to be your day for pickup, or whatever the case is, they don't show up, do not go ahead and call this person's phone and curse them out and tell them what bum they are for not showing up. Tell them how disgusted you are with them. No, because guess what you're doing? You're giving them supply again. All right. And mind you, I had to learn this from experience too. They don't show up. They say, okay, well, you know what? I'm coming to pick up this, you know, I'm coming to pick up your daughter tomorrow at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock comes, they don't show up. 2 o'clock comes, they don't show up. 3 o'clock, you want to call them, right? Don't call them. Don't call them. That is going to be easier, right? Always have it in your mind that they're not going to show up. They're not going to do what they're supposed to do. And then what happens is that you won't be disappointed when they actually don't show up, because you were never expecting them to show up. If anything, you're going to be surprised if they show up and actually get the kid, because then you're like, oh, you actually showed up. Oh, okay, great. I wasn't prepared here. Well, here's the kid, and I'll see you guys later. All right. You want to have it in your mind that the boundaries that you place is for yourself. It's to protect yourself. It's to establish a boundary so that you're not giving way too much energy, or you're not giving more energy than you should to this whole situation. All right. You know, you have a child now with this toxic person, and now you have to move on. You have to be able to co-parent, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, narcissistic people don't co-parent. Toxic people don't really co-parent well. They are not good co-parents. And if they even try to attempt to be, it is only to a certain point or degree that they will co-parent. And after that, they're back to being doo-doo heads. Okay? Or back to trying to get you pregnant for the second and third time so that they have more supply. That's going to be another video though, okay? One thing that I want you to keep in mind is to stop trying to control it. Stop trying to control the situation. Stop And when I say, you know, before when I said set boundaries, I mean set healthy boundaries. Set things that you know works for you and possibly can work for the other person, but you know, mostly it's for yourself. Set healthy boundaries. But when this toxic person does not respect a boundary, stop trying to control it. Don't try to make them accountable. Don't try to get them to see the light, see how immature they're being, see how irresponsible they're being, because they're not going to. You are beating a dead horse. You are giving all your energy when your energy, all that energy that you're giving to this narcissistic person, you should be giving that to your child, because they're the ones that's going to need it. Really. And the moment that you stop giving all this energy to this narcissistic person and realize that they're not changing, this is just who they are. The games that they play, the manipulation, it's all just them. That's just who they are. The moment that you stop that and focus on your child, focus on giving your child foundation, giving your child love, unconditional love, giving your child stability, key. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's other things that the narcissistic person can do to try to make your life difficult, is, you know, just not showing up, not doing what they're supposed to do. Or if they do have access to the child, they take the child. You say, oh, I don't want my child over at this person's house. The moment they get the kid, they going over there, because that's what you said, that because you said you did not want the child over there. That's what they're going to do. So have it in your mind. Stop trying to control the situation. All right. And I know that for women, that's going to be extremely difficult, because, you know, you want to know where your child is at all times. You want to know, are they okay? Are they safe? And, you know, in all honesty, you just gotta say to yourself, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. You gotta let go the wanting to control the situation. The moment that you let that go, you'll be able to maneuver in other ways. Okay. I don't know how long this video is, but I can't right now. I'm not going to go into detail with what I mean by letting go of control and how to maneuver, or whatever the case is. But again, if you want to see another video geared towards co-parenting and going into detail with certain situations, then just let me know, leave a comment below, or like I said, you can send me an email and we could talk there. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop this video right here. And if you found this to be helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it, okay? Yeah, and don't forget to check out my other videos. And if you like my content, then subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I'll chat with you soon.